Welcome gallery, staff and councillors to the June Ordinary Meeting of Richmond Valley Council. I'll open the meeting with the acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture connection to lands, their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you read the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our Richmond Valley community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Public access item 3, there is no requests. Apologies, we have a full house. There is no mayoral minute. Page 6, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 16th of May. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor McGillen. Seconder, Councillor Hayes. Everyone, no worries with the accuracy of the minutes? I'll put that motion then. All those in favour? Matters arising out of the minutes?
Yeah, I've got two.
Councillor Hayes.
Item 7.1. We wrote a letter to Mr Witherton about the helping out with the supermarket in Woodburn. I'm just wondering if we received anything back, and also the Mayor said that we approached Janelle Saffin and Paul Scully, Minister for Planning and Open Spaces, and they are following up on the issue. We received anything? Any follow-up at all from either lot?
Councillors, that's on page 9 of the attachment.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yes, Mr General Manager, I haven't heard nothing back.
Yeah, we have received a letter from the Reconstruction Corporation, which we can forward to councillors. In summary, the focus of the Reconstruction Corporation at the moment is on housing recovery, and it pretty much said no. There was no support available for the IGA. They had no programs at the moment that would fit in. So in effect, that bird has flown.
Thank you.
And I understand that Ms Hundy has received a similar response, which she did share with us. Again, she is thankful for the support from council, but at this stage there's no joy as far as funding support to get the IGA back open in Woodburn.
And item 19.1 on page it's page 14 of the attachments. We've engaged with Ennis Moore and Ennis Moorfield. I'm just wondering if they've provided a timeline as yet, and if so, where are we up to with that timeline?
I'll just get Director Zeller to respond to that one.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yep, we've executed that contract yesterday, actually. We exchanged the signatures on that one. Their timeline is to get that consultation started within the next month with the members of the public, and the full-on design to start within 2 months.
I just noticed in there they had a 15-week project, and on the 3rd week they were going to consult. So what are we looking at? We're 3 weeks away from that, are we?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other matters arising from the minutes from councillors? Councillors, item 8, declaration of interests. Has any councillors got any declarations? Have Mr General been handed?
Yes,
Yeah,
I've got
okay, they're all been handed,
three that have been handed to me, so I'm happy to read those out. Julie might grab the fourth one while I'm reading. So the first one was from the Mayor, Councillor Mustoe, in the matter of item 14.1, being a pecuniary interest, and I understand the Mayor will leave the meeting for that item if it is called. Similar for Director Gator for item 14.1, pecuniary, and we'll leave the meeting. Both those, obviously, the Mayor and Director Gator having properties that have been affected by the flood and are involved with those programs. Another one from Councillor Hayes, item 19.3, a non-pecuniary insignificant conflict, but does have a couple of DAs listed in that item. And the final one's Councillor McGillen, sorry again for, yes, item 14.1. As Councillor McGillen has a property affected by the floods and involved with the Resilient Land and Resilient Homes programs. So that one's a potential pecuniary, and I assume Councillor McGillen will leave the meeting for that item as well if it's called. Thanks.
Any further? Thank you. Item 9, petitions, there's nil. Notice of motions, nil. With page 7, my mayoral report, I'll move that. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Any questions coming
Yes.
from that?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey.
May 12th, Country Halls Tour showed Broadwater. What was
Yeah.
the Country Halls Tour show?
It was a tour by, I can't think of a... Benny Lum. And she travels around all the country halls doing a concert, and some locals are also invited to sing a song, and there was a couple of a young girl and a young lady that done that, and she also has a supporting act, and the hall was packed. It was a good turnout, so good for the community.
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Any other matters? I'll put that motion and all those in favour. Carried. There's no delegates' reports. Item 13, matters determined without debate. Has any councillor like to call an item, please? Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, 14.1 and 15.1.
Any others? I'll call 15.1. Sorry? I thought he said 16.1, sorry. Okay, sorry, 15.1, that's... I was wondering why he was calling 16.1. So, they're the only two?
I've got a question on the Stampane Over ones. I'll call it.
You could call it, yep. So, any other councillors? So I need a motion to adopt 16.1, 16.3, 16.4, 17.1 and 17.2. Yep. Can I get someone to move that, please?
Move, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Seconder.
Second.
Councillor Humphries. Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Now takes us to item 14.1, and I have declared an interest, so I'll invite the Deputy Mayor to come and take the chair, please.
Councillors, item 14.1, there's a recommendation there. Could I have somebody to move that recommendation, please?
I'll move.
Councillor Hayes, seconder.
Second.
Councillor Cornish. Councillor Hayes.
Look, I think the executive summary and the recommendation states how we feel about the Reconstruction Commission and how it's turned out up to this stage. You know, we're disappointed that we haven't received a lot of help for the mid-Richmond particularly, or anywhere in the Richmond Valley Council area. And I'm really concerned that we went to meetings in Woodburn and we were told there was $800 million in the first round, and to be supported by 2 follow-up rounds of similar amounts of $800 million. And you know, it's got down to the nitty-gritty of this thing where they've taken on the applications for buybacks, and they're starting to look at house lifts, no doubt. And the information that's coming through is that the buybacks are going to be probably a third of what they first imagined. There was 6,000 applications, right, spread across the council areas that are involved in it. The money that they promised, if that money had come through and kept flowing through, and even if those 6,000 applicants become 12,000 applicants, each household would have picked up $100,000 each if they divided it evenly. Now we're left with some buybacks that are hitting the 600,000, the 700,000. It's just not an even spread of the money, and nothing seems to be coming our way. The way they've handled that money, and that what we can see from looking from the outside in, is that it's just going to disappear. And I've been saying it for ages. And the information that's out, and this report just boosts it, that it's just going to we're not going to get anything out of it unless we go hard to hit them to get some of that money into our area. I don't know what we can do. I know there's a process, but I don't think too many people have heard back from them that are on that list that I've heard of in our area. You know, there's stuff starting to filter through Lismore, and there's some disappointed people in Lismore too, I might add. But I don't know what we can do, but I'd like to see us do something.
Probably just to add to that, last week a letter was prepared from the local members and mayors that went to the Prime Minister and the Premier seeking that second tranche that had been promised. I think that was around another 700 million. So just to let you know that has happened. We've certainly been in meetings with the Reconstruction Corporation. There obviously had to design a process that is based around risk, and it has a defined pool of funds, and so that's why the numbers are back at that sort of 1,000 to 1,100, because that's I suppose their way of fitting the number of properties that are able to be benefited by a buyback within the budget that they have available. So yeah, I think pushing for additional funding is important. I take your point about the Richmond Valley. At this stage, I have heard that there are some properties that will be offered or have been offered a buyback. I'm talking a handful. Obviously, it's different in Lismore. Is obviously it's been a focus, and rightly, given the impact that the floods have had in there. But we certainly are aware that our community needs and wants support, and we'll continue to advocate for that wherever we can. So we'll obviously get a letter as in line with the recommendation at this point, but set out some of these concerns and continue to advocate for our community.
Any other speakers? Councillor Humphrey.
I'd just like to make a comment, like a bit of a positive there is Fairy Hill, but even it comes with its barbs, because we need the money then to have the infrastructure, that the challenge of getting the infrastructure. There's a comment in the report about council drawing the NRC's attention to the smaller, some other suitable sites in Casino, Korakai and Evans Head, and also a comment about perhaps we might have some luck with some smaller holdings. Could I have just a comment on how, whether you think we'll have any success with that at all?
Mr. General Manager.
Yeah, so they were Crown land parcels, and as we know, they're generally difficult to get activated, but obviously in the situation that we faced, if anyone's going to activate it, the government's the best place to do that. So we put those forward to encourage smaller parcels. It included that parcel of land that we've been talking about in Evans Head, Tuckaroo Crescent, for a number of years. That it's an opportunity to get something like that activated. So we will continue to push for those lands to be considered, but unfortunately they weren't picked up in that resilient land strategy. As you know, we only had the one land holding identified there near Fairy Hill. That's obviously a significant contribution to the, if we can get that going, and we're actively pursuing that already. We're not waiting until the end of the submission period. We've got meetings happening to try and push that forward wherever we can.
Any other speakers? Councillor Hayes.
Just to close up, I'm going to go back to the finance thing. Like, a lot of people down our way, across Woodburn, Broadwater, not so much into Coracai, but I haven't spoken to many people up that way. With the money that they're spending on the buybacks and the house lifting and all the other stuff, and the money they're going to put into mitigation, right? Even if half the money that they were promised in those 3 rounds, half that money went to mitigation, it still leaves $100,000 a property for 12,000 properties if it was doubled from 6,000. It's a lot of money, and in Woodburn and Broadwater particularly, if people had picked up another $100,000 on top of what they got for in that first round of back to home money they got, I think they'd all be back in their houses by now. We'd be nearly past it. And it goes on and goes on and goes on. Money just keeps disappearing. We can't let it happen.
Okay. All those in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. We have somebody call the Mayor and others back, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. 15.1, page 12, Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, I just want to move the recommendation as it's written there.
Second.
Seconder, Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Hayes.
Just on the study themselves, it's the study that was done in 21 and finished a couple of days before the flood hit in 22. It goes down there and said the things the study set out to do, and one of them was to incorporate significant floodplain terrain modifications into the model, such as the inclusion of the Pacific motorway upgrade. So I'm assuming that when that study was done, all the work on the Pacific Highway was included in that report. Now we've got this new report about to be released. Has that been upgraded to match the size of the flood we had? Has it been revisited? It wasn't clear in those documents we got.
I can't answer that, but General Manager may be able to. Or
Happy for Director Jones to comment.
Director Jones.
Through you, Mr Mayor. I understand that was taken into account, Councillor Hayes, both in the version that we brought to Council just prior to the floods in 2022, and it was still considered in the amended modelling that we did following those floods.
It will be included with the bigger volume of water they put in their model, but using the same information they had on the highway from the 21 report.
That's how I understand it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question, thanks. After the study goes on public submission for the 40 days and then we consider the submissions, we move on to stage 3 and 4. I'm just a question around how the Risk Management Committee, how that's made up. I note that consultants are then still involved in the study, but yeah, just a question around the makeup of the committee.
Director Jones?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Humphreys, I'm not 100% sure, but the consultants, council staff and potentially industry experts, so maybe DPI Water and other flood industry recognised people, we more than likely invite those types of skill sets onto the committee. We haven't gotten to that at this point in time, but it is a broad makeup of a number of different areas, and we'll come back to council when we've got that further information. As the report said, we've put in a grant funding application to be able to do stage 3 and 4. Once hopefully we see positive news about that, and then we can go and engage that further work, and that's when we consider the makeup of that committee. So we'll bring that back to council to inform you
Thanks
during that
very much.
process.
Ta.
Any other councillors? Councillor Hayes, right a reply?
No, all good, thanks.
I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried, unanimous. Item 16.2, page 20. Councillor Hayes,
Yeah, just move the recommendations
please.
written.
I'll
Yep.
second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Hayes.
I just have a question around the cricket nets, Ben. I noticed they're here to be confirmed. Is there a proposed area to put them?
Director.
And maybe at what part of the redevelopment will they be needed to be relocated?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Hayes, at this stage, as you said, to be confirmed, probably closer to cricket season. It's mainly about the residents, where they were originally located. I think 2 or 3 of the residents weren't quite happy with that spot, and in retrospect, I get it, because it was backing onto their properties. So there hasn't been another spot identified, but we'll do that in consultation with the cricket clubs and the residents, and we probably need to get onto that, in the next month or 2 to get that ready for the summer season. So nothing in concrete just yet.
Any other councillors on this item? Right a reply, Councillor Hayes. Put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Page 40, general business, item 18, there's no general business. Matters for information, item 19, same page. Could I get a mover, please?
Move, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey.
Second.
Councillor Cornish, second. Councillor Morrissey, any items?
19.2, Mr Mayor.
Yes?
Just a comment about on page 45, just under the description, supply and prices and funding source. Just a good outcome for the surplus funds available for the purchase of the mobile amenities in kitchen and vans that would contribute toward on-road costs and ancillary equipment. Just a good news story, really.
Thank you. Any
Yeah,
other councillors?
Question on 19.3. I noticed that the average assessment days for applications determined in May is down to 42, which is good. I'm just a little bit confused as to when we record the amount of development applications and the time it takes. Okay, we've got a total number there at 22, which is fine. And it says there that compliant developments, private certifier approved 3. When you go over and look at the statistics for them on page 53, the date lodged and the determination date, I assume that's how you get your days that they've been in there for, are minus on all 3 of them. And how does that affect those figures when we use such a small amount, you take 3 out of there and they're on minors, and then if you really want to keep going and take out the section 4.55 modifications, which, you know, are pretty minor, most of them, that amount of days would skyrocket again. I'm just wondering how they determine that amount.
I'd be suggesting that average doesn't include the CCs. I'd have to check with the team and as to why the determination's before it's lodged. But potentially the reason it's like that is because the private certifier has determined it on the 25th of May, and then they've lodged it with us on the 29th of May. Because that's, if it's a CDC, they certify it.
It's fine, but do they use those in their figures?
I doubt it, but we will confirm that for you.
I just sort of make sure they're not.
We can add them in if you like, if we don't.
Well, you would. I think you might have.
We'll check that with the team, but I think I'd be surprised if they're included. But because it's not our determination, so we can confirm that for you.
What set it off though was the numbers changed dramatically, and we got 3 compliant development applications for private certifiers, which we rarely get. And all of a sudden the numbers dropped down.
Yep.
So it wants to look at that.
So you'll take that on notice and...
We'll take that, we'll clarify that, and we might clarify that in next month's report, just to make clear that average is based, hopefully, on those that we assess, and not those that get lodged by a certifier when they're a done deal. But fair point. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yes, please, Mr Mayor. 19.4, the grant applications, the ones that are being received. Could I please find out what a tactile ground surface indicator is, please?
That's those yellow things on the concrete paths that assist people with vision impairment. So you'll see them on our pedestrian crossings and in close proximity. So it aids those people with a guide to navigate their way around our CBD. Something that we know that those people with that disability encourage us to do more of, and we continue to expand the network where we can.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one quick one. Have we had any reply to the correspondence about the courthouse since this went to print?
Short answer, no. Not from a lack of trying. I've contacted quite a number of people. I think I've got apparently the project manager for it, but he's obviously very busy because he doesn't return my phone calls. So when I get a moment, that'll be escalated to try and find out what's going on. But yeah, and it's not for, we've cast the net, as is in the business papers, our local members pushed. I've talked with Regional New South Wales as well. They've advocated for us after the issue being raised with Minister Jackson when she was in the area. So yeah, it's we just want a bit of information. It shouldn't be too hard. So anyway, when we find out something, we will let you know.
And if we don't find out something soon, I'll be ringing the Minister and asking her because she did take it on board that she would follow it up. Anything else? But we have the motion for matters of information on page 40. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Item 20. Questions on notice on page 66. There's nil questions. Any questions for the next meeting in writing for councillors? Councillors, I need a recommendation to go into closed council.
Move, Mr Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any representation from the gallery why we should not go into closed council? Has there been any written representation, Mr General
No,
Manager?
nothing received, Mr Mayor.
I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried, unanimous. Thank you, Gallery, for your attendance. There's only one white item which should not take too long, if you would like to wait around. You're joining us tonight. Mr General Manager, could you read the resolutions from closed council, please?
Yeah, I'll let Director Zella read this one.
Thank you.
In the item 22.1, Northern Rivers Livestock Exchange Agent Licence Procurement process, Council resolves to 1. Note the progress and outcomes of the expression of interest agent licence procurement process. 2. Reaffirms its endorsement of the NRLX fees and charges as resolved by Council at its March 2023 ordinary meeting and included in the draft Revenue Policy 2023-24. And 3. Authorises the General Manager to establish an ongoing EIO process as outlined in this report to secure agencies for up to 7 licences and report the outcomes back to Council.
Thank you. No other business, Mr General Manager? That closes the meeting. Thank you for your attendance. Everyone have a safe trip home, and thank you for watching online for those people out there.